Hello and welcome, my friends. It is I, Jaffa. Today's episode is going to be another grindy soapbox. The video content will not have anything to do with the audio. In my last grindy soapbox, I mentioned a term called equalitist, and I've gotten feedback as to what is an equalitist. They wanted to know a little bit more information. An equalitist, or equalitism, they're forms of egalitarianism, which simply put is an advocacy of equality. This is for gender equality, racial equality, social equality. An egalitarian, it was coined somewhere like in the 1800s, 1900s, something like that. So, quite a long time ago. An egalitarian is adjective. It says of relating to or upholding the doctrine of the equality of mankind and the desirability of political, social, and economic equality. So the concept of everyone being equal and no one having an unfair advantage is actually an old world idea. I mean, we're talking the 1700s, 1800s, maybe even 1900s, where politicians are actually supporting the fact that, some people should not have an advantage over another. Now, we hear in politics every day that the corruption here, the corruption there, this person is cheating, that person is cheating, even on their spouses. I mean, you hear about it all the time. It's not what you know, it's who you know. And this actually states that a extrovert or someone who is outspoken will actually have a better political advantage than someone who isn't. Someone who can communicate clearly has a greater advantage over someone who doesn't. And as a equalitarian or an equalitist, there is merit for that. I mean, someone who can communicate clearly really does have the ability to communicate what they want better than someone who says, I'm kind of craving something. I know that it was a play on a mentally handicapped, but the Tom Hanks character, Forrest Gump. The character Forrest Gump, he really did an excellent job in that he didn't have a unfair advantage over other people. He just kept trying. And that trying led to success. I did not like the movie because it was poking fun at mentally handicapped. The equalitist in me does not like that. And that's the same kind of thing as Dan Hardcastle's one of his new videos. He's sitting there making fun of feminism. Well, he's not an anti-feminist. He is a feminist. But he feels that if you're going to be something, you should also have the ability to be humorous about it. As a equalitist, racial equality, people should have equality through races. No one race should be better than the other. But at the same time, you have to be able to laugh at it. I have black friends who laugh at the jokes about being in a dark room, closing their mouth and their eyes, and disappearing. They have the ability to laugh at their own predicament, and that's what Dan Hardcastle was trying to say. He is a feminist, and he feels that you should be able to laugh at that. As a equalitist, as far as mentally handicapped, I feel bad for him, so I don't really want to laugh at it. But you look at Carlos, I think it's Mencia or something like that. He makes fun of what he calls tards all the time, and the people who laughed the hardest are the people who fit that profile. People who have the physical or mental handicap. They want to be taken seriously, and sometimes that means you have to be able to laugh at yourself. Because if you're not laughing at yourself, then you're not laughing with the people who are laughing at you. They're going to laugh at you no matter what. Might as well laugh with them. Sorry, I'm getting off that soapbox and get back on to equalitist. An equalitarian according to the dictionary, was formed in the 1790s to 1800s. Equalitarian, used as an adjective, is pertaining to or adhering to the doctrine of equality among all people. As a noun, it's a person that adheres to the doctrine of equality among all people. However, the ending, equalitist and equalitarian, is under some controversy as to what it means. Grammar Nazis, English grammar Nazis, are going to say that I am wrong by calling myself an equalitist. And let me explain why. An Aryan, equalitarian. The Aryan is a suffix forming personal nouns corresponding to Latin adjectives. Long story short, denoting a person who supports, advocates, or practices a doctrine, theory, or set of principles associated with the base word. So this is saying that a equalitarian supports, advocates, practices the theory of equality. An equalitist is a suffix of nouns that are corresponding to the subject. Denotes a person who practices or is concerned with something or holds to certain principles, doctrines, etc. So the examples is a vegetarian, an Aryan, has to deal with a adjective. A ist, like a socialist, a machinist, a novelist, has to deal with a noun. So by calling myself an equalitist, I'm saying that equality is a noun when it clearly is an adjective. So grammar Nazis, just don't worry about it. The reason why I say ist is because equalitarian really does denote the old world style of thinking. It really does denote the 1700, 1800 mindset of this is how you have to be. And ist is getting really popular these days. Well, by these days, I mean in the last 100 years. You hear about a feminist, you hear about a communist, you hear about this ist, that ist, capitalist. Ist seems to be the more accepted role, and therefore, by calling myself an equalitist, one, it rolls off the tongue a lot better, but two, by actually stating ist, more people can relate to it. It is a growing movement. The ideals, like I said, goes back to the 1700s, 1800s, and early 1900s. So it's not a new concept. It's not a new twist on an old world concept. It's just simply trying to revitalize what has been there for hundreds of years, what a lot of us actually feel should have been around for a lot longer. And we keep losing sight of it because we start focusing in on money, or we start focusing in on power. The people who don't have the power either want it to be a level playing field or they want the power. When they get the power, they don't want a level playing field anymore. They're on top. The sci-fi show Defiance clearly points this out. One of the Cassians, when he was at the lower ranks, all he was wanting is an equal shot. He wanted a fair shot to be equal with everybody else. And his wife reminds him of this. But he says, but that was back when I had nothing. Now I'm the one that gets to piss on other people. And it shows very clearly the mindset, at least of Americans. When we finally get on top, we want to stay on top, and we want to maintain that stature, that height. People like Bill Gates, which he kind of has that, but he kind of doesn't. He's teaching his kids that it's better to give the money away than it is to try and spend it. So he is literally spending millions of dollars a month, actually. Millions of dollars a month for humanitarian aids and nonprofit organizations that are struggling. He's literally giving money away. He has plenty to give away, but he's literally giving money away so that his kids will learn that just because they're Bill Gates' kids, they don't get the money. That is the way that he has taught them. I think that is noble. He is definitely not a Cassian in that. But yet he is a capitalist, that he was constantly wanting money. He was constantly wanting to build his business, and now his business is to give away his money, and he's doing that with the same exuberance that he built Microsoft with. If you've not studied Bill Gates, you really do need to sit down. Don't listen to the media. Media has it totally wrong. You need to listen to interviewers who have talked with him. You need to see what he's been doing. Go out and visit the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. They actually have tours. If you go to their city, you can go up to their building. I think you have to have like a half-hour notice or an hour notice or something like that. But they will actually give you a tour free of charge of their entire building and explain to you what they are doing. It's absolutely wonderful that they have this business and they don't mind you coming through and, seeing what's going on. I know a lot of businesses that they don't allow you in because they don't want their proprietary stuff out. Bill and Melinda, they're not worried about that. They're making executive decisions on how to help as many people at a time as they can. They really great people. You need to check them out. If all you've heard about Bill Gates is that he's a money-hungry opportunist, yes. But he's changing. He has changed a lot in the last 10 years, and I really do support everything that they're doing. They're really proving what an equalitist can do. The equality mindset of, now I have all that I have, and I want to start giving it away. I want to bring other people up to this level, or as close to this level as I can get. That is what an equalitist is. Gender equality, racial equality, and social equality, monetary equality. We want everybody to have the same opportunities to receive the same amounts of money as anyone else. I don't know how I can beat this horse any more than what I've done. If you're not an equalitist by the end of my little rant here, then well, you know what? You have the right to your opinion. But I can't see how you could not want to be an equalitist, to have everybody have the same advantages. Now, I will explain one thing. I don't run marathons because I would never win. It's not because other people have an unfair advantage over me. They have a fair advantage. A lot of marathon runners have long legs. I do not have long legs. But I have legs. So it's not like they have an unfair advantage over me. If I had a car, or even a bicycle, I would have an unfair advantage over them. So the equalitist is that everyone has equal opportunity, and if they can take what they have further than the next person, then they deserve it. And if they want to turn around and use that to give to other people, then that is great. So I'm not saying that there shouldn't be sports people who earn $1 million a year. Okay. I don't like the idea that they're earning that much money, just to play a game. I mean, if I earn $1 million a year by doing YouTube, there's something wrong because I'm playing a game and making lots of money on it. There's a problem with that. So I'm not saying that I like the idea that they're making a lot of money, but I don't want to deny them that either because they are taking personal damage. Anyway, it's the unfair advantages that gives them. Their fame and popularity allows them to go to a motel that Bill Gates has to pay for and we have to pay for, both ends of the spectrum. But this guy that's somewhere in the middle and can clearly afford the motel does not have to pay for the motel. He goes into a restaurant, and because everybody is gawking at him, the restaurant gives him the meal for free. I've actually met a basketball player that he has a motorcycle that costs more than my first house. That is how expensive this motorcycle was. And because of it, yes, he was given a little bit more opportunity by not parking it in the parking area. But rather than parking it in a specialized area that was locked away and no one can get to except for him, what they did is they allowed him to park it on the plaza of this business, this office building. They allowed him to park it out where everybody's walking and then had people standing around it to guard it. So the people could have been down in the garage. They didn't need to have this expensive motorcycle sitting out for everyone to notice. The reason why they did this is he was going in to visit a couple of friends, but they allowed him to park it out there so that it would attract people. And so that people would go into this business and find out what this guy was doing there and how often does he show up? Would I be able to get an autograph next time he shows up? They were using that as a ploy to try to draw people in. And it's an unfair advantage. If he had parked it down in the garage, had those same 3 people guarding his bike, it would have been fair. Okay? It would have been, he's in the parking garage, his bike is protected, and no one is really gawking. The only people who would have known that he was there is the people in the business. But they were using the fact that he has this expensive bike and that he's a well-known face to try and draw people into the business. And that, to me, is an unfair advantage. I really hated seeing this happen. And when one guy asked me, do you know who that was? I says, I really don't care who that is. That's ridiculous. You know, and yes, it was someone that was idolized where I was at, basketball player in a major city. Even my own little brother was a fan of his. I did not like it. I kind of liked him up to that point, and then I ended up hating him because he was using his fame to gain an advantage that you and I will never have. And it backfired on him because his fame actually made it to where when he did just an average human mistake, everybody pointed it out. Everybody said he was this bad guy. So his fame was a double-edged sword. He used it too much, and I feel it backfired at that point. So, wow. Back to equalitism. Had he not used his fame in that manner, yes, he would have still been famous. People still would have pointed out his flaws, but it wouldn't have been national news. It would not have been that big of a deal. And it really shouldn't have been that big of a deal because it's just something, a human being a human. And they blew it out of proportion because he was famous. I don't like fame. Equalitists don't like fame. I prefer to be in the background. I am an introvert. I prefer to be in the background, making the party flow easily and fluently because of the support that I give it. Such as when I was young and, early 20s and going out to parties, what I would do is I would be near the refrigerator. So that way, when someone, needed more alcohol, I was right there to grab a beer and just go set it down. And I was just, being a good guy as far as they were concerned. But what it was is I was keeping the party flowing by just simply being in the background. I was part of the conversation, yet I wasn't because I was away from the crowd. I was constantly interacting with people, laughing and joking, and they didn't understand why I wouldn't go sit down on the couch by them or in a chair or at the table or something like that. It was because I wanted to be attentive and keep the party flowing. A lot of times in household parties like that, you just tend to get so relaxed and so swept into just hanging out that really the party doesn't keep flowing and it kind of dies. But if you keep people standing up, well, not keep people, but if people stand up and they move around, then it keeps the whole energy of the party flowing and it lasts a lot longer. More than once, I have went out of the house to go home and the sun was coming up. So it's like, okay, do I just go to work or do I just go to bed? Anyway, yeah, an equalitist, we like to work behind the scenes. We don't necessarily like fame. We don't necessarily like to be the life of the party. We want everybody at the party to be the life of the party. So, I've ranted on long enough. This has been a grindy soapbox, kind of a longish episode where I've rabbit trailed a little bit. I do apologize, but I really did want to address the differences between equalitism, egalitarianism. We are all basically doing the same thing. There's not that much of a difference. We advocate equality. Everyone should be equal. We are all human. We're all on this planet for a reason, and we need to get along. We should not be enslaving some and making slave labor from others by making them flip our burgers. We all need to be equal. We all need to be pulling our share, and we all need the same opportunities for advancement all the way across the board. It's not what you know. It's not who you know. It's the fact that we are human. We all deserve the same shot. And the people who can take that further have an obligation to help the rest of the people out because they've made it. Because they have the money, they need to start giving back like Bill and Melinda do. So, I will stop there. As always, my friends, may peace find you well.